Good morning, Tableau fans. This is Bruno with Wiiisdom Ops, and I'm based in the awesome city of Boston, Massachusetts. I'm super excited today to be joined by the awesome Abhishek Das from Red Hat. And Abhishek today will cover how Red Hat leverages Wiiisdom Ops to trust their dashboards, leveraging Wiiisdom Ops CI/CD automation. Abhishek, again, I'm super excited to be with you. I'm looking forward to hear from how you guys are leveraging Wiiisdom Ops, what your pains are, and why you start to do all this automation. And I know that uh, trust is extremely important within Red Hat. So looking forward to hear from you.
Okay. So first of all, hi all. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Myself, Abhishek Das. So I currently work with Red Hat as a business intelligence engineer. So, and I'm a part of an amazing team, which is this. I actually didn't get a full complete picture of our team, but this is what my team is. Um, so yeah, so moving towards the agenda. In today's agenda, we'll kind of start with a brief about what is Red Hat. So what is Red Hat and how Red Hat operates, kind of thing, not in details. How we use Tableau at Red Hat, along with a few of the challenges we faced at Red Hat. And definitely we'll be talking about Wiiisdom Ops and how it actually came to rescue us, to be honest, and a brief about automating testing using the CI/CD. So let me go to the next slide. Okay. So what is Red Hat? So basically, Red Hat is a leading provider of enterprise open source solution. This is obviously one of the statement we say. We do believe on developing open development model where we create more secure kind of a stable technologies with the open source community. We do have OS platform like RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. We have Red Hat OpenShift. So these are the few products of Red Hat. And I can definitely say Red Hat is a data-driven organization, and we need data which can be trusted to visualize and make our decision, which can come from many different data sources. At Red Hat, I believe it comes from Salesforce, Bugzilla, and a lot. So, talking about visualization, I think I should move to the next slide, which talk about Tableau, right? So at Red Hat, we use Tableau Online specifically, as Tableau Online is a platform, analytics platform, which is fully hosted uh, in the cloud. You can say that it is a software as a service offering from Tableau, and we currently have around 15,000 plus users, and out of which I can say around 14,000 plus are viewers and 1,000 plus are creators who develop the dashboards. Also, uh, we have 5,000 plus workbooks and 4,000 plus data source that are currently published to Tableau Online. Uh, I know the number is too high of workbook and data source, which definitely makes sense that I can say that the data is coming from multiple sources because there are 4,000 plus data source, right? Yep.
Abhishek, a question for you is,
Yep.
for since when has Tableau or has Red Hat been using Tableau? For how
Yeah.
many years?
So Tableau came to Red Hat around like from past 2 years, and we have been using Tableau Online since then. So it's been a 2 years journey with Tableau Online.
Okay, and you guys, so you've never really used at an enterprise scale Tableau server. You went straight to Tableau Online. Is this correct?
Um, yes, and we had different business units who actually use Tableau server specific for their team. But as an enterprise, we went with Tableau Online, where all the business units came together. Red Hat as together came and started using Tableau Online.
Okay, yeah, and I've seen a little bit how you use Tableau Online. It's been actually quite a success to see how popular Tableau has been within Red Hat. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, obviously Tableau online is something new, good. Ups and downs are there, but it is great. Okay, so let's go for the challenges. So basically, what happened? Red Hat went with Tableau Online, right? And there are some challenges. And as and these data from which comes from multiple sources go from multiple transformation, right? Based on the business need, uh, which might be manipulated with data. Somebody would have changed the data in some logic, which may be correct, may not be correct, and this made us think like why not to test. Obviously testing was always there, but when it comes to the visualization, the dashboard, that point, it was a realization point, I can say, that we should also start testing the dashboard. So as I said, Red Hat is a data driven organization, and we need to trust our data before presenting to the business users, and we need to obviously test that data to build that trust. So everyone wants to test their data or their dashboard, I would say. And by default, they have to test it manually, right? Like go ahead, open a dashboard, do a clicks, and that's how you test. But which can add more expense to it in terms of a resource going doing the manual testing, uh, like comparing to dashboard back to back, would need a lot of time. And that also depends if they have a number of views. If a single dashboard maybe have 20 views, it will take more time. And that's where the human error comes into picture, as well as uh, I would say it needs two monitor to at least open two dashboards side by side and to compare. So that's what manual testing users has to do. And the biggest question is, so who like testing when it is manual? I believe most of us would definitely say nobody likes manual testing, but obviously few does, which creates a situation kind of thing of manual testing where people don't want to give much of the time in manual testing, and they end up not doing the testing at all. So that's where the problem comes into picture, not testing at all because of manual testing. So just to show how the comparison of side by side of a dashboard, it actually looks simple, but it can be like if we do manually, you have to open one dashboard in another monitor and kind of do the side by side testing. Okay, so and I can say that if you start doing manual testing and if you don't do testing at all, it will eventually end up like impacting your business, right? Your business stakeholders. So let's go and see how it actually impacts our business. So business will not trust the data or the dashboard we provide. As a developer, if I create, I do not test and just give it to our business or stakeholders, they won't trust my data, right? As the data is not trusted, this can show that the the distance the business takes, it can slow down the process, right? I cannot trust, I cannot take a decision, and it can lead to a wrong information or communication to a third party or some other stakeholders of theirs, saying that this is something which we can see from the dashboard, which may be wrong, and they pass on that message, which is obviously not a good practice or not a good thing to do. And there can be scenarios as well where business, like for example, if I'm a developer, I develop something, I publish something new without testing, and the business user can end up finding issues in terms of functionality where the functionality breaks and they have to reach out to the developers or admins, which will obviously take a lot of time and impact the business. Right? So this is where I said wisdom ops comes to rescue us, right? So let's move and to the next slide and understand how wisdom ops is and helping Red Hat altogether. Okay. So before going into Wisdom Ops, let's see a scenario, what happened before Wisdom Ops at Red Hat. So creators or developers had to maintain like multiple sheets from different dashboards with their test case, which was not so organized. For example, if I have for my if my department have 20 or 30 dashboards, I have to create different sheets or different document altogether for each dashboard because it can be a long length, right? They used to validate those dashboards manually before publishing to the production. Obviously, like if somebody does a testing, they need like a days of time. I can say few days to do all the complete testing based on the number of use case they have before publishing to production, which will definitely delay the deadline. They also sometimes need to perform those testing manually at certain interval. For example, if I just publish it and leave it, that's not how we should be. We should go ahead and do some testing and see how the dashboard is behaving after maybe a certain week of time. I would say every week maybe, so that we know our dashboard, which is in production, is healthy and is and can be trusted by our business. So
Mm.
that's where the testing is needed.
And so what are the benefits then? So this is, prior Wisdom Ops, Abhishek, and okay, how has that helped to change the way that you've been approaching testing within Red Hat?
So yeah, so before Wisdom Ops, obviously it was not a good, but after Wisdom Ops, uh, I, I would go to my next slide, which talks about the current scenario, which is using Wisdom Ops. So using Wisdom Ops, now creators can define their use case instead of having 50 or 15 documents. They can just write a single use case for individual dashboards once, and they can easily execute those test case ad hoc, maybe on an ad hoc basis. Maybe they want to schedule it, as I was saying, every week, right? They can schedule those as well, which is actually good. So this will ensure that these testing will also take few minutes to execute. They do not have to wait for a long time to know that if the dashboard or the workbook broke. So this is something helpful as well. If something broke, they can know as soon as possible, kind of thing. And no doubt, Wisdom Ops have a number of testing functionality, like as Patrick showed, right? And they are keeping on adding a lot, which it's actually great to explore. So with that, we have one migration content functionality, right? So that functionality actually helps us currently at Red Hat. We manually migrate those contents from a stage or development environment or a project to production. So Wisdom Ops can do that automatically, test the data or test the dashboard and publish it automatically to the production. So if it pass, go ahead and publish. If it doesn't, we know that it should not go to production is what. So
Mm-mm-mm. And Abhishek, it was quite
yeah,
interesting. Earlier, you were saying, before it could take a day or more to test a dashboard or workbook overall. And right
yeah.
now, overall leveraging Wisdom Ops, it can take a couple of minutes basically to do this. So that's quite a bit of time saving for Red Hat.
Yes, when I say right, it reduces your time. That means time is money, right? So it also reduces the resources. They can work on something else rather than doing that testing. So that helps.
Okay,
Okay.
that's quite interesting. Thank you. And also, I understand you're using automation, and also in some cases you do like some self-service
Hmm.
for the
Yeah,
testing.
yeah. So not exactly for testing. Currently, we do testing as a manually currently using Wisdom Ops, but there are still people, I would say, who would still go ahead and do those testing manually, like filter kind of thing or something else. Uh, so so that's where there are, like, as you can see in the image, right? There are two kind of thing. One is manual content migration, where people do manual testing and publish. One is where Wisdom Ops, where automatically it is tested and published. So there can be both the scenarios. So it's not restricted, but yes, test case plus published actually helps. Okay. So yes, the main thing which people actually do test manually is when they use a custom filter. custom queries. That is something we have already seen a lot. So the common question all developers or everybody do have is that whatever the data is shown in the workbook or dashboard, is it the same data which actually is in the backend or the database? So this is I would say $1 million question where who like somebody have to go to the database, write a query, pull the data, and kind of compare. So there can be a scenario where the data can be different from the data source because we are using complex custom query while building the data source. So Wisdom Ops does have this SQL testing where we can basically compare the data source in Tableau uh, versus the database. We can do that query automatically, and it will compare the data, like something like this, which you can see as an image. We can compare the data based on the row, and we can see if the data mismatch or not. So that's why if it is mismatch, we can go ahead and see why it does. Maybe we did some mistake in our logic. So good. So we know that we can validate this data, but what about validating the functionality in our dashboard, right? So that is also one of the important thing. If the dashboard doesn't work, if the filter doesn't work, nobody can see the actual visualization or things they want to do. Custom, I would say. So functional testing is actually very useful because it does work as same as somebody, a user interacting with the dashboard. For example, you can filter out, you can change the parameter and see how it responds. So this kind of testing actually does answer a lot of questions, such as does my dashboard open? Do the filter and the parameter works as expected it should be? So functional testing helps in that part in our dashboard development. Okay, so we have seen multiple dashboards where we do have metrics, which obviously which says how much is the like a threshold kind of. For example, I'm a guy engineer, so I would say, for example, how much users are there in Tableau, for example, or how what is the memory we have in Tableau, so that I don't cross that threshold, and so that what will happen, everything will go down in the production. So right, so these also kind of thing we can do in Wisdom Ops, where Wisdom Ops also helps us to set a threshold on some metrics. For example, your new customers, you can see which is actually defined by the business, and so if this threshold is crossed, we get notified, and we know that this is something critical we need to look into. So this is one of the best features, I would say, in terms of when you monitor something on a server, a kind of thing, a threshold, exact metrics when you have. So this is a helpful thing. Okay, so now this is the same which Patrick said, and I, to be honest, love this a lot, where I can do a regression testing. And when I say why I love, I would obviously say, as I informed earlier, right? Red Hat isn't Tableau online, so the online frequency of upgrades are more frequent, like on a frequent basis. We don't have the control; it's done by Tableau online, and sometimes the dashboard may break when the upgrade happens. So the post and pre and post upgrade can be different. And for example, executive dashboard, I would say, it is important. A lot of executive access it, and when it breaks, it is an issue. So before upgrade, obviously we can take a snapshot. We do take a snapshot of only business critical dashboards currently, and once the Tableau Online is upgraded, uh, we can run that test case against the same snapshot we took, so that we know where it breaks, as Patrick showed you, right? So that is one of the best thing, at least we can use in Tableau Online. Uh, so yeah, and going with that, this is one of as well which Patrick and Bruno discussed. And as Red Hat, we also wanted something to share a document with our stakeholders, with our developers, because If it is scheduled, we want to know what exactly happened in that time at that particular moment, right? Either we can share the complete HTML file or the document which we get out of Wisdom Ops, or as we saw, we can have the data stored in some database and we can query and see how did the performance or the testing go for a single dashboard, which is critical. And that's how we know how how we frequently we need to check and kind of do this testing. So obviously we asked regional ops and definitely we got that, right? So when to test? So I would say, so ideally we should test our dashboard always, but it can't be the case, right? We can't go ahead and to do the testing. So we can test after our upgrade, or the migration we do, after we do some changes in our workbook, after we kind of link a new dashboard, or sorry, a new data source to our existing dashboard, or maybe doing some modification with the existing data source. We can also do some random checks, maybe at certain interval by doing the schedule. And most importantly, we believe we should definitely do some checks before handing over that dashboard to our business or the stakeholders, right? So that they can trust the data. And we do encourage to gather business rules, plan testing scenarios while you develop, because that's the time when you know what are the test cases you can write and do the testing properly.
And
Right. Yeah.
Abhishek, is within Red Hat, is Red Hat following the good practices, I should say, from Tableau Blueprint? Is this something that Red Hat looks into or not?
Yes, yes. So Red Hat definitely follows the Tableau blueprint, and that is actually something we had a training where they told us how to use and what. And I believe almost all the business unit at Red Hat are following the Tableau blueprint.
And for you know people that are familiar with Blueprint, is we actually fall in the top part of Blueprint on the agility part. So you know overall people want to trust, but still people have to verify. So that's where we fall in, and we've got lots of great content around Blueprint. So and it's great that you follow this methodology because it's extremely well done and it allows you to scale. So that's great.
Okay. Um, so now we discuss what to test and what not to, kind of not to exactly. So let's see how it actually helps the developer. So we have to build the test case once, I would say, and we do not have to invest more time. Um, as the test case is once written, it can run automatically based on the schedule, which also helps the complete development cycle. Like you don't have to do the testing; it will keep on running. So as this data and dashboards is tested and validated, business users can use those, right? Okay. Now let's go and discuss how we are actually doing that schedule, how the developers are building something and those are scheduled automatically. So that's where we come and talk about how we leverage CI/CD. So basically, I would say, so before going into depth, I would say we at Red Hat currently we are leveraging GitLab for version control and GitLab Runner as a scheduler for Wisdom Ops. So I have seen normally people are talking about Jenkins. So this is something new, maybe. So yeah. So as you can see in individual, like the image, right? Individual creator creates something at their own instance, maybe my personal laptop, personal desktop, and where Wisdom Ops is available, the designer of Wisdom Ops. They prepare, once they prepare the test case, they finalize it and they maybe talk with the team. Once they do that, they publish or push that piece of code, which is the test case, to the feature branch where another person from the team would actually need to approve. So approval from a specific business unit, I would say, need to approve this change before it actually moves to the main branch or the master branch and it start executing. Because if something goes wrong, somebody have written a wrong use case, it might show you the wrong output as well all the time, which is obviously not correct. So we do have different approvers for different business units. So based on the dashboard we built, right? And in that way, GitLab Runner fetches the latest test case or run those test cases in the production. So yeah, and so this actually ends, but I do have some key takeaways. So we should be leveraging obviously automation, the CI/CD. Organization should be data driven and can be data driven if they trust their data. Faster migration, version controlling is what we should do. And do obviously do some random checks, regular monitoring kind of schedule checks, so that you are sure throughout your journey of that dashboard, it's up and running. That's all from me. Thank you. Over to
I
you, Vinny.
appreciate Abhishek, and I had one question for you: is have you, in your process of getting a solution to do your testing, have you tested some other solutions on the market?
Yes. So at Red Hat, what we do is like we take almost all of the tool which is available as a competitor. We do some point kind of technique. For example, what feature is available in Wisdom Ops versus what feature is available in some other tool, right? So that is how we compare, and we definitely saw Wisdom Ops as a good competitor for others, as it does have a lot of features, and I think it will be having a lot of feature going forward. So that is how we came to Wisdom Ops.
I appreciate that you shared your feedback around how you tested our solution, and also, again, Abhishek, it's been great to have you on today for this user. We appreciated listening to your story, how your team and how Red Hat is leveraging Wisdom Ops, and thank you very much for being a customer, Abhishek. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome, Abhishek. Thank you.